Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Jan Paul Pablo was born on May 17th, 1984 in the Philippines. He and his family moved to the United States when he was 6 years old to a borough outside of New York City, Staten Island. Jan, who now goes by JP, has created an extraordinary life for himself in New York. He has been an educator for almost 15 years, teaching in many diverse areas of Staten Island and Brooklyn. He now finds himself as supervisor and coordinator of the STEM and Project Lead the Way programs at St. Joseph Hill Academy Elementary School, where he teaches. He also has been a beloved track and field coach at the same school's high school for almost the same amount of time. He has coached, led, and mentored many young people, myself included, to go on to do spectacular things. He has never been one for the spotlight. However, I am taking this opportunity to turn the light and the mic to him to pick his brain on his life so far. Here he is, Jan Paul Pablo. Jan, would you like to add anything else to my description?
God, that's like the biggest intro I've ever had in my life. God, it was sometimes it's just like, here's your science teacher.
Would you like to add anything else, or you think I about covered it?
Well, like besides like the whole teaching gig and moving, being an immigrant, a couple of hobbies I do outside of like my regular job and profession is I used to be a marathoner. You forgot that. I used to be a marathoner. I ran 7 marathons, 3 New York cities. What was it? Marine Corps, Chicago, Hawaii, or Honolulu, and Richmond,
Mm-hmm.
the city.
And
So
how many half marathons have you done?
19 and a lot. That's too much to list right now, but it was cool because I got to travel everywhere. But that could be a different story another time. Um, I also, what else do we do? Hang out. Unfortunately, a knee surgery did end my running career. So now I just try to pretend to be a CrossFitter, which is really cool, and just do regular mid 30-year-old, I guess, would do. Well, now late 30s, but it's fine.
We can call it mid-30s. It's okay. So, a couple of questions. Start off with, what do you think first when you came to Staten Island? Like when you were 6, what was your first impression of the amazing Staten Island, New York?
Okay, well, uh,
If you can
my
remember.
well, okay, no, I do remember a lot of things, but my history with Staten Island, it was a place where growing up, I knew that my mom and my brother lived. So the story is that my mom was trying to set up our lives in the United States in New York, and she went to school, went to high school here, and became a citizen well before I was born. So her brothers, who are doctors, tried to set her up with clinicals and residencies in New York, and especially in Staten Island because that's where they did the residency, and to set up her to have a future in a medical career. So with that said, I believe that my parents made the decision to separate for a little while, and
How long were they separated for?
we were separate. They were probably separate for like 3 years
Oh,
because
wow.
while she was here working and had my brother here, which sometimes I realized I didn't, I was not there for my brother's birth, so I thought that was kind of weird sometimes. But while she was here, like working on her residency, gave birth to my brother, she was doing what they call petitioning. So when they petitioned, she was petitioning me and my dad to come here on a green card slash visa so that in the future we could be citizens. So that was like a big to do because I knew the only thing I knew about growing up in New York was like it was cold, the city lights, like many cars. I mean, Manila was very very crowded with the cars and stuff like that. But like the language was different. So leaving the Philippines at such a young age, we were just talking about this actually. Um, Leaving the Philippines at such a young age was kind of like a big trip for someone so young and
Hmm.
trying to like adjust to that kind of lifestyle, which was I'm assuming I did it right because I feel like I don't have much trauma, but doing it. But I just remember it was like a 180 from what I was experienced and like lived in the Philippines.
Seriously. So, on that in the Philippines, do you do you miss the Philippines? Do you wish you grew up there instead of growing up here? Because you basically spent most of your life here.
Yeah, so actually, like, oh my God, it's been 31 years since I moved to, I know
My
it's like
God.
31 years since I moved from the Philippines to here. But we don't know. My brother and sister and my mom and our parents always ask. We always like ask this question, like, what would happen if we stayed in the Philippines? And to be honest, the main question of what would happen if we stayed, my siblings and I would definitely be doctors. I think that's a big setup to how our life would have been there. Um, I think we would just be living a very spoiled life. To be honest, and I don't want to sound like as so like bougie and pretentious that we were, but like our parents or grandparents really set us up to have a certain lifestyle and to live a certain way because of that situation. So, for example, um, my aunt had decided to stay and live her life in the Philippines, and the majority of her kids did become doctors, and they do live this lavish lifestyle with drivers and big houses and
Wow. Why
full.
didn't you vote to stay there? That
I
sounds
know. Well,
awesome.
then I thought about it, but like in the long run of I mean, whether your opinion of how great America is right now, but like the the Philippines is still a third world country. So when I went to go visit there a very long time ago, they my aunt still lives in a gated community or a gated house. Like it's not the safest place. Like I know like crime could happen anywhere, but like the idea of just like me being able to go out for a run or like walk to the store or go to the bar, those are the things that I don't have to worry about because we're in New York and Staten Island. Like that's a big thing. Like in the Philippines where like you have to get driven and picked up because you can't find a parking spot,
Gotcha.
or you have to make sure you're talking to the right person, or else you get arrested for something. So those are big things. Like not a
Yeah.
lot of people know about the Philippines because all the only thing they worry about is the vacation places and the beaches and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But that's like hardcore Philippines. Like that's not something that really people talk about. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I was able to grow up here, even though I know like in the back of my mind there's still like some worldly aspect of my life that I know that I've because Staten Island's so small and you and I both know that people in Staten Island think that's the whole world. But in
Yep.
reality, like I am grateful to have that experience of being outside of the United States and have that experience.
Yeah. And on that, so obviously most of your family's there. You said your aunt still lives there. How has your family maintained their Filipino culture here in the United States? Like, what do you guys do? Just give us like a little brief, because I know you have a lot of family
Yeah, so that's
stories.
what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, you know me pretty well. So like I have a huge family. So my mom's side of the family, since everything was set up to have this sort of lifestyle residency doctor thing in Staten Island, the majority of them didn't manage to move here. So my mom is the youngest out of 11. Um, Growing up, seven of them were here, and we all
Okay.
grew up within a 5 mile radius. So growing up with a mat like, and I have 46. Well, there's 46 cousins, so I'm the
Oh my
35th
God.
cousin. And growing up together and really like living each other's like traditions of like Christmas traditions and Easter things, that really like stemmed on how much the tradition of family importance is carried through.
Okay.
One of the things I do regret about like not so much traditions is just like learning to really like fluently speak the language.
Okay.
So the language is called Tagalog, but I did not retain the dialect of how to speak it. I could translate and understand it, but then if someone asks me something in Tagalog, I will respond to them in English.
Kind of like
But
me in Spanish.
oh yeah, and then obviously it helps well in Spanish, so that's a plus.
Mhm.
But traditions like just being with family, like how important everything is, respect for the elders, the importance of education is all those things are rooted into our family. Um, I don't want to say like being Filipino is like it's like one of our main identities, but like being a proud Filipino um, New Yorker, I guess it's something that is big in our family in Staten Island because we're such a big family. So we kind
Yeah.
of back then growing up, if you knew if one of the Albanos was in your class, then you knew that then everyone who they knew everyone. So that's
Yeah.
something that actually I didn't even like go about thinking about for myself. But then like I can walk down the street and I know someone randomly because of
I still don't understand it. legitimately any Filipino person who even I'm surprised you didn't know me since I am partially Filipino, but
Yeah, but you're also in the South Shore. That's a different story. So,
true. Very, very true. So next question, going on to school and you said like you came here and you didn't really understand your native language. Was learning English challenging for you as everyone else says it is? Everyone I know, all the students that I teach who are native Spanish speakers always say that English is so difficult. Did you find that similar?
well, so okay, I'll talk about my experience, and then you know that I taught 1 year in ELL school, so that
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like bringing back like some PTSD that I
I never
experienced.
even thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, well, the education system have obviously changed between then and now, but so I moved here when I was 6 in 1990. Um, Surprisingly, I knew a little bit of English because the main language or the national language of the Philippines is Tagalog and English.
Oh.
So they do teach you that in school. I mean, but I didn't really stay there for that long for school. But um, learning English was very difficult because as you know, like there's so many different exceptions. There's a lot of different tones. I remember like the one time in 6th grade where well into my speaking English life in 1996, I guess that you want to say. I said the word salmon,
What were you
right?
trying to say? I think I know.
Yeah, no, I was supposed to say, how do you say that word?
Is it salmon? The
Salmon.
fish?
Yeah, salmon.
Yeah.
I said salmon, but because every letter makes a sound
Mm,
in Tagalog or even Spanish, right?
mm-hmm.
And I remember she was a good teacher, and I'm not saying she picked on me, but she did pick on a lot of kids back then. It's a Catholic school, so
Yep.
whatever. But she stopped the whole lesson and was like, "It's not pronounced salmon. It's pronounced salmon."
Oh my
And
God, that's probably so traumatizing.
I was, and then now I remember like even when we have a mutual friend Kristen, and I say the word, and when back then I said Chicago, and she said no, it's Chicago. I'm like, I don't get it.
First
So,
of all, I say Chicago, so
oh no, I'm sorry. I say Chicago. That's how I say
oh yeah.
Chicago, 'cause that's how it sounds. So those
Mm-hmm.
are the things like are I have to be aware of, like speaking and how is it used in the English language. And one of the biggest things that I still to this day, I mean, I fixed the salmon issue. So one thing I noticed to this day is I actually mix my pronouns a lot. So
Oh.
well, you never caught it.
I've never realized that.
Really, it's really bad. It's like if I'm telling a story about like my aunt, say if like Paul is dating Irina and they have and they're she is this, but then like all of a sudden I'm gonna say that Paul's she and Irina's he, and then they're like what? So I have to catch myself
Huh.
do that, and I still have that problem. And the one thing I learned about it is that like people who have grew up learn or speaking Tagalog have that issue because of the whole idea of like the masculine and feminine pronouns
Huh.
in Spanish.
Learn
So
something new every day.
someone actually thought, I mean, this is like not even part of my personal life, but someone thought I was actually talking about some like a person I was dating because I kept saying she. No, whatever. But yeah, so that was a big thing. And I mean, like even now, like teaching, like a couple years I taught. The majority of my teaching career happened to be teaching English grammar and reading, which I thought was really funny. But I had to remember like all that stuff that I was taught in middle school or grade school to know the right way of using these like parts of speech, like a direct object and whatever that
But
is
does
stuff.
anybody actually know what a direct object pronoun actually is?
I know, but then I listened to like you or I listened to the Spanish teacher at my school, and like they those are things that they have to teach for the Spanish language
Yeah.
in order for everything to make sense and not sound like you're being translated from Google. So that's hard enough to learn in Spanish. That's hard enough to know in English. So when I taught like the charter school, that wasn't like to me them not knowing what a direct object pronoun is that wasn't really a priority. It was them to make sure that their sentence made sense and
Okay.
was like grammatically correct. So that was really my main concern for that. So like I didn't have that type of like I mean we were drilled to learn English a certain way, but but going back to when I taught the ELL class, the stuff that they used to properly teach them English was because I taught in the Spanish and Chinese population. I felt like was kind of a shortcut.
Okay.
Instead of like reading a book, they had to listen to Rosetta Stone,
Mm.
or instead of like having conversations with someone who knew English, they had conversations with a teacher. So that was like a peer conversation with a teacher for a student is not really the best. I mean, if you don't have that's the only thing you could do, then obviously you're going to use it. But then the reality is you want to have a peer conversation to each other so that at least the interests are the same, or the
Yeah.
to move forward without it being a teaching moment or added pressure to a child. So those are the things that like I felt was not used on me, but also I was lucky to have like, well, me and my brother got along, someone to speak to in English, like my brother or my cousins, that really helped me prepare to be a proficient English speaker.
Okay.
And a lot of people say like, oh, I would say if I was born in the Philippines, then it'd be like, oh, how come you don't have an accent or your
Yeah.
accent? But people think I'm from California.
I would say that. Honestly, I would have thought you were from California because you're always tan when we first met. So there's that. So we talked a lot about teaching, and obviously, me and you have that in common. We both love talking about this. We both get into heated arguments. And obviously, your family is mainly doctors or others in the medical profession. So, what made you choose education? Did this kind of like spur you wanting to teach others, you having these struggles growing up, or was it something else?
It's such a crazy. No, I don't say it's not crazy. It's just that it's kind of a negative story, but like I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, this is what I fell upon on. But um,
Well,
so
tell it.
well, yeah, well, you know it, but like, so the story is that like, my grandparents are doctors. My parents are my mom is a doctor. My dad is a pharmaceutical representative, but he majored in business. So the medical profession has always been around in our area. So it was kind of like suggested that you go to school to be a doctor or have a doctor in your name. So I remember this specifically. I was going to go to school for psychology to be a psychologist, and my mom turned to me and said, "Are you going to go to med school to be a psychiatrist?" And I said, "No, no, we'll figure it out." So I didn't tell anyone what I wanted to do until I was like a junior or senior graduating, and what's it called? And I wanted to be a school psychologist. That was my thing. But in the whole like not being a doctor aspect, so I had to like watch my mom like really um, go over and beyond of how she used to do her job, and I felt like not that like she missed out on so many things, but I feel like it was just so much. It sounds super lazy, but so much work just so that she could do her job. And then she also told me like the schooling aspect of all things was very disheartening because you would go to school for 8 years and still
Yeah.
not being able to start your life. And like after college, I was just like, no, I need to find a job. But the story also the other part of it is like you don't want to tell, well, I tell my brother, but he told everyone, but you don't want to tell anyone what you want to do, so there's no like in college, so there's no pressure, added pressure on if you're going to be a doctor or not.
Hmm.
And I know like a lot of people who like my sister, my brother, my cousin, just to name like three people who tried to be a MD or a PharmD and didn't make it
I did
because
not know that.
yeah, like Priscilla tried doing PharmD and she didn't make it, so she like panicked, and then that's what she changed majors. My brother couldn't pass the MCAT. The only schools he made it was schools in the Caribbean or the Philippines, and he didn't want to go through that.
I did not know that.
And my
Wow.
cousin Lauren had a mental, no, I shouldn't say, like an anxiety attack about being a pharmacist, and then she went to turn teaching. So
Mm.
um those, I mean, again, those are not like super discouragement, but I just know that like I felt like I could make a better difference just going through um what I wanted to go through and talk to kids all day. And that's
Yeah.
like a running joke, is playing with kids all day. But
Well, I mean, and that's how like kind of we became friends. You
yeah,
were a coach at the local high school, and after we went to the same college. only like a couple of years apart, right? And we both like fell into track together, and that's how we met, because you were coaching and I started coaching with you, and then we both started teaching, and then we both had our teaching stories, and that's how we really bonded. And I think you also kind of motivated me to become a teacher, and have still to this day motivated me to continue it, even after this horrendous year and
Years.
all the years, even though I'm only in my third year of doing all this. But so on the subject of track, because you have been coaching for how many years now?
This is 15.
15. See, I thought it was. I thought it was somewhere up there, but I didn't want to say that many because I thought you'd get mad at me and call you old.
Yeah.
But so obviously 15 years, a lot of athletes have come through your wings. Which athlete do you think had the greatest impact on you, and why?
Feel like this is like a loaded question.
Oh, it is.
We're all still friends with these children, so
Yep.
it's not like no. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the political route, to be honest, but there are many different kids that have really I don't want to say like changed the way I look at life. I also want, well, let's start with change the way I look at coaching, and then change the way I look at life, and then
Okay.
change the way I looked at life, coaching, and the aspect of high school track.
Okay.
Because when you think of like high school track, or like how track is portrayed on Stand On, definitely it's all about winning. It's all about like being being number one and like getting all these island records. But then if you look at like how island records compare to like national,
They don't match up to the national
national, yeah,
records.
those are dime a dozen. So I like and I told you this, especially when you start coaching with me, that our philosophy, well, just strong arm, but our philosophy at Hill was that we just wanted to have them have a meaningful 4 years of track with us. And that whether or not they decide to pursue their life outside of that would have been difficult for them, because then those people in college would have been really serious. But to name a few girls, like our friend Nicole is definitely one of them, because Nicole, she just has, this like passion to do so many things all at once. But
Maybe
then,
too many all at once. But
well, yeah. But then here's what I said, like, but then also failed to look at things in the back and be in presence of the moment of friends, and put too much of stress. Well, there's a lot of things going on in her life that I understand why she's putting the stress on to do what she needs to do. But I think like in her high school career, it was more important for her to enjoy her life and enjoy her friends, and be good at what she does, and be the rising star that she was in high school, and have those accolades, and school records and island records, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in the long run, like, she just was happy. We're happy that we stayed friends, right? When we shared so many experiences outside of track, and in my scope of hers, I watched her grow up. Grow up to a well-mannered thinking person, and at certain times in her high school / college career, I would sit there and talk to her like a real adult. And I'm sure you do the same thing.
100%. Sometimes a little too much, but
well, now we're in it for the long haul. But another person is Emily Harrington, and she's like the star of Hill Track. She was the girl who literally won everything.
We have actually had one of those.
Yeah, and I know, and so that changed my my outcome, but like thought on like, oh wow, we could really do this. Like we could really do both. Like
10 years into coaching, that was.
I know. I know. But like I meant like do both. Have fun with them and win at the same time. And make it known that like, oh, we're this team. We could do this. There's no pressure, but they could still kick ass. And the last one, and one of the other ones, is Katie Dowd. She was my first freshman class. Like a great personality. Like just didn't care, but worked her ass off. And then now she's doing it with the girls, being an assistant coach, and
having her own kid who she'll one day coach.
She's a strong woman. She was all for like gender equality, and like girls could do it too, and all that.
I feel like she embodies everything that is Hill Track, like having fun, working hard, and everything you're talking about, the feminism aspects of it as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you ever heard her like saying like Hill really shaped her to be a woman of what she was. And remember, she was going to go to a public school.
She was? I didn't know that.
We go to Curtis.
Oh, no, we didn't want her to go. We're happy she was at Hill.
Yeah. So she said, one of like Hill is such a strict school, like almost like militaristic, that like the reason why she gets her nails done every week is because Hill did not let her. So
Yeah.
those are the things that like she is able to bring back her experiences to the girls and then move, be a stronger person for them. So I as much as like a big headache from like coaching sometimes, but the majority of it is really meaningful. And oh my gosh, this is the second time I forgot this word.
It's okay. It's been a long day.
Meaningful, and you feel like you've done a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you have. I guarantee we can go to any of those girls up until from Katie's years up until the current year that we have, and they would all say the same exact thing, that you are the true embodiment of Hill Track, and you're the reason that they say. We always say this: if you weren't there, we would not have the 70 something girls that are on that team.
I know.
Or however many it is.
We all say, or even like if there would be a team in general.
Yeah, I guarantee there wouldn't. No one would want to join if it wasn't for you. So final question, and this one's also a loaded one. If you could go back 10 years, what is that, to like 25? Something like that?
Go back at 25.
20,
okay.
like
right.
Around then, 10 years, and give yourself any piece of advice, what would it be?
Okay. 10 years. I got this. Definitely travel more.
You travel so much, but okay.
I know, more. So 10 years ago, I was still working at that special ed school.
Okay.
I would say not to be scared of trying other places. I loved Seton. I really did. It was a place for growing. But I felt I should have pushed myself to grow like quicker.
Okay.
That makes sense? Like,
yeah.
By the border, like, I mean, there was so many hiring freezes those years, that it was hard to get a job outside of private school. So either that or like trying at different schools. And I think the following year actually ended up going to charter school. But also
that's when I came along.
Yeah. But also the cat was moving, I was getting nervous. And I can't see anything. So definitely also get any injuries checked out.
Yeah, that's a big one, because you'd still be able to be running marathons.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely like try to figure that out, like try to make sure that you get anything checked out that you need to. And I don't know, like and just try to be as open as possible, like try to see if what other things can you expand your life with, like I did get my extension to teach younger kids, but I feel like if I went back to school, like just really forgot about how annoying it was, maybe it would be a little bit different. Like I know you're doing that now. I can't believe you're getting your master's like not consecutive from your undergrad, because that's
just
tough.
The way I do things. It's okay.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, I guess that's it. I don't know, like have fun, just really focus on fun. Life's so short. Like we don't have, I mean, we always say we don't have a lot of time and all this stuff, but like going through what we experienced like last year, this year, hopefully nothing crazy happens for the other years. Like I tend to have a little bit more easygoing aspect of life back then. Like I didn't really stress out on a lot of things, to be honest, but like don't stress out in a lot of things, and maybe like I don't know, be open to all these different experiences that you may not be too scared to do, I guess.
I like that. So travel, get injuries checked out, and enjoy life and have fun. So for the next 10 years, I'm going to focus on those things, because I'll be your age in 10 years.
10 years, because that's what, oh my God, well, you're 10. No, Maggie's 11. You're 12.
I'm 12, so I'm a little bit younger. But anyway, well, thank you, Jan, or as we all call you here and in our lives, JP, for this great interview. I'm sure my class is going to truly enjoy hearing about your super interesting life. If they want to hear more, we'll do a second episode.
We should just do more episodes.
Okay, let's do it.